I was the person that would get cheated on 10 plus times in a relationship and go back. You might find yourself drawn to broken people to fix. Do you ever find yourself feeling anxious or guilty for putting your needs first? Do you ever find yourself feeling like you're walking on eggshells around everybody to keep the peace? How many times did you ignore the red flags? What's going on, guys? My name is Fausto Castellanos. I am a motivational speaker, spiritual advisor, and clinical counselor. But most importantly, I'm somebody who's battled with addiction, trauma, mental health, and lots of codependency, which is what this video is going to be about. And there's a lot of people out there that are life coaches, healers, gurus that are giving a lot of terrible advice, or they have good intentions. They just don't have the experience to truly understand the responsibility that is given to a healer. And I'm somebody who's been through it, went to school for it, and has also been able to work with tens of thousands of people in person. And that's not to exaggerate. It's just a lifestyle that I chose to be able to be exposed to that. And I truly believe those who have hurt the most can heal the most. On this video, we're going to be talking about what is codependency, how does it look like in our life if we are codependent, why are we codependent? And then the solutions to start breaking free from it, because you can. And the thing with codependency that could be difficult is codependency looks like supporting people, loving people, being kind to people, being of service, loyalty. So a lot of times it can be difficult to try to figure out, like, am I codependent or am I just a good person? And so this video will help us be able to identify if we do battle with it. On the first part that we'll talk about right now, actually, before I go into the first part, I want to share with you my codependency, what it looks like. It's just so you can see that I am capable of being able to teach this. I'm somebody who, when I grew up, I had a lot of neglect and abandonment. I felt invisible, low self-esteem, low self-worth. And I discovered that if I do something funny, wear something cool, have a girlfriend, had a cool job, tattoo, just something to get me some outside validation that I was good enough, that I was worthy, that I was lovable. And so I was always in relationships no matter what. Like, I am not going to be single. I can't be alone. Because I have a fear of being alone. I have a fear of not being good enough. So I was always in relationships to the point where my standard was, if you give me attention, I'll date you. And that ended in a cycle of toxic relationships, being cheated on, cheating back on, manipulating and lying, arguing, terrible communication, break up, get back together, break up, get back together, betrayal, just a lot of toxicity. But for me, I'd rather be in the toxicity than to be alone. And that's the craziness, but that's just what codependency is. It's a need, not a want. And so now as we go into this, what is codependency? Codependency is where you need someone or something for your sense of self-worth, whether it's you fixing people or whether it's you receiving some form of validation outside of yourself. Now that's scary because, as you know, the reason why we may never feel enough or we spiral, mental breakdown, even to the point of suicidal ideations, is because it's never enough. There's going to be a day where somebody gives us a negative compliment, where somebody can't show up for us the way that we need them to. And not everybody's going to like us. And we're not going to always succeed at everything that we do. Because of that is we're always going to be on this roller coaster, right, of self-worth. And so that's why we spiral and we become very clingy, obsessive, suffocating, and a little crazy. Because I don't know about you guys, but when my codependency and my needs aren't getting met, I get crazy. That's what codependency is. And to share some more examples with you guys, do you ever find yourself feeling anxious or guilty for putting your needs first? Do you ever find yourself feeling like you're walking on eggshells around everybody to keep the peace? Do you find yourself suppressing your emotions and your thoughts because you want to avoid conflict at all costs? If those are some things that you can identify with, then I'm pretty sure you're codependent. And again, there's nothing wrong with it. So let's keep on watching this video. Right there is what is codependency. It's not a want, it's a need. And remember, it can be confusing because we could sometimes think that we truly want people or things. But if you really, really ask yourself deeply, you'll figure out that you probably need it more than you want it. For example, water. Water is what we need to live. So we're codependent on water. We're not loyal to water. If somebody released an article that said humans don't need water anymore, I guarantee you a lot of us would stop drinking water. To know that fine line is going to be your journey, because supporting is good, enabling is not. Loving on people is good, but people pleasing is not. And so overdoing it is when it's not about them, it's about us. And that's heavy, right? Kindness is actually a form of manipulation, because when we're doing it for us, then it's a selfish act and not a selfless act. Number 2, how does codependency manifest in your life? So right here, I'm going to show even more examples just in case those first ones didn't speak to you. You might find yourself drawn to broken people to fix. Now think about this. Are your friends, relationships, people you're around, do you tend to be the fixer, the healer, the therapist, the person that's always doing it for others? Be careful with that, because people who are codependent know how to help out, but we don't know how to hang out. Think about that. We know how to help out. We don't know how to hang out. When I would try to hang out with friends and they didn't want nothing from me, I remember feeling anxious, uncomfortable, anxiety. And one time my buddy was like, Fausto, like, you don't have to say anything or do anything. We just hang out because of you. And that was a very foreign thing to get used to. So that's why we tend to attract broken people in our life to fix, because that's the character we know how to play. It can also mean staying in unhealthy relationships. Now, get honest with yourself. How many times were you loyal to a fault? Because I don't think you're loyal to a fault, but you are codependent to a fault. This is where codependency really manifests. Like, how many times have you been in toxic relationships with people? How many times did you stay in it way too long? How many times did you ignore the red flags? Because red flags don't seem like red flags when they feel like home. Let me say that again. Red flags don't seem like red flags when they feel like home. If all you knew is toxicity, then toxicity is technically a green flag for us. And technically something healthy for a lot of codependents might be almost a trigger, because it's something we're not used to. And it's also going to really show how crazy we really are and our idea of what relationships are in love. I was the person that would get cheated on 10 plus times in a relationship and go back and go back. And I remember I would tell all my friends, oh, she cheated on me, I'm never going to get back with her. And one's like, yeah, Fausto. I even threw a party once about me getting cheated on and not going back to celebrate. Like, yeah, that was embarrassing, because guess what? I went back with her and I brought her to that place. I've been through that and I get it. You're not alone. Do you ever find yourself avoiding conflict at all cost? Like, you literally become like the chillest friend, the coolest friend, the go with the flow friend. Like, you're always happy maybe. Those sometimes can be defense mechanisms that we have to try to keep the peace, because conflict can create rejection. Rejection proves that we're not good enough. And if we're not good enough, then there's a possibility that they'll leave us, which then triggers our fear of being alone. You see how that works? So that's why we avoid conflict at all costs, because we're trying to make sure that everybody and everything is happy around us, because if they're happy, we're happy. So now let's get on to the next thing. And I believe this one is super important, because I believe it's good to know why we are the way we are, not to dwell on it or to blame, but just to understand where it started, so then we can start working on it, because the root problem is the key to healing. And this one is, why am I codependent? Codependency is born in childhood, maybe a little bit when you get older, but childhood is where we develop our sense of worth and identity. And sometimes a lot of us are in a family household where there's abandonment and neglect. And so we feel invisible. And abandonment and neglect doesn't mean all the time parent left. It can mean that parent didn't know how to love us the way that we needed it. That's why a lot of times you'll see people that have a healthy family and they're like, why am I codependent? My family's awesome. And then you meet their family and like, your family sucks, right? Versus somebody where it's like, oh, dad, mom left, they were this and that, they were gone. Makes sense why you're codependent. Codependency manifests based on the person's perception of what's going on, not what's happening, but the perception of what's happening. That's why it's not what happens to us, but it's what happens in us. And so when you grow up with abandonment and neglect, you feel invisible. And we're looking for a sense of self-worth to feel good about ourselves. And so at a young age, a lot of us can discover saying a funny joke, being smart in school, being athletic, being attractive, being charismatic, dressing cool, being able to spit game really good, having a girlfriend or a boyfriend or whatever it is. We learn at an early age how to perform for self-worth. So we develop performance self-worth, which is what codependency is, performance self-worth. And we get really good at it. And it's not really noticed as a bad thing in elementary school, middle school, and high school because there's nothing wrong with what we're doing technically. We're just, doing stuff and excelling in school and dating and, fashion and cool. We're getting in shape and we're attractive. What's so bad about that? It's when you're an adult, you usually tend to understand that these are ways of living that are just not possible anymore. Because you got to remember this, it's never enough. We always need more. More dates, more validation, more partners, more money, be more attractive to get in better shape. The older you get, the harder it is to get that dopamine or that validation rush into your body because it's never enough. That's why usually in our adulthood is when we spiral because we just can't take it no more. And remember, guys, it's not your fault you're codependent. This is not to shame us. This doesn't mean we're unlovable or we're unhealable. This is just for us to feel validated and seen. I want you guys to know that I'm here with you. I see you. I feel what you're going through and you're not alone. I've been able to find love, be in a healthy relationship, set boundaries. I'm okay with being alone. I got cheated on in a last relationship and I was able to walk away and stay away, which is crazy. I'm finally learning how to have self-worth within myself. Like it's amazing. So I'm telling you, you're gonna break it too. You're gonna be so healed and so happy. And so that's what brings us to this next one. And this next one is gonna be a step-by-step, not process, but things to do to start working on your codependency. But remember, healing takes time because it's very complex, and we can only heal with time. And we need to be exposed to things to work on things, and we're not always exposed to things to do to heal. So it's a journey. And when people sell you on, this is the 3 steps, fast way to break codependency overnight, that's all bullshit. It's all lies. Trust me. I'm going to share with you the solutions to codependency. And in future videos, we're going to actually go more in depth on these things, how to do it. Because again, it's a journey, and that's why we're in this together. So solutions to codependency. The first step, awareness. If we're not aware that we have a problem with codependency, then there's no way that we're going to heal because we got to accept we have a problem to be able to fix the problem. And so for all you guys that are like, I'm codependent, double hands, that's me, you're a lot closer to healing than you think. And I'm proud of you guys for that because it's not always an easy thing to admit. It's not cool to be codependent. I'm proud of you for being able to admit that. The second thing I want to recommend to you guys, from my experience, is buy the book Codependent No More. That book right there is literally a godsend. It is like literally the book to read for codependence. And so it's something that you can read to find tools to relate to people's stories so you don't feel alone. And it's just a good thing to have because I truly believe once you learn about it, you can never unlearn it. And learning things make things more visible for you to see. So now that you can see it, you can heal it and you can change it. The next thing I want to recommend, and these are free, are CODA meetings. So Codependency Anonymous is everywhere. And they even have online meetings just in case they don't have them nearby you. And basically, it's a support group that's free. You get to share what you're going through, codependency related, because everybody's there for that. You're able to get a sponsor to walk you through a 12-step process to heal through it, which is amazing because you have somebody who's been through it and made it on the other side to guide you. The beauty of a sponsor is they love you for who you are, not what you do. And that's what us codependents need. We're so used to performing for love that we need somebody to reparent us by loving us just for us. And that right there is a super healing process. We need it. And that's why I'm saying these are things that we need to heal from codependency. It takes a team. And then the beauty of that is once you walk through these steps, you can help others walk through their steps. To give back helps us learn more how to work on our codependency. And also it gives our codependency meaning, purpose, which is healing. Because in all that pain and suffering that we've been through from our codependency it wasn't for nothing. All that codependency we've been through, it wasn't for nothing. There was a purpose to it. We don't have to hate ourselves for it or shame ourselves for it or hide from it. We were strong enough to go through that pain and through those experiences to relate to those who are going through it now. So we can be a voice of hope for them to be able to speak up because our story gives them permission to talk and to heal. And how beautiful is that? That's fulfilling. That's what's going to make life worth living. And so being able to give that back is beautiful. So you have your sponsor to teach you, to love you where you're at, to show us that we're good enough as we are. We have students to give back to so we could learn more and give our past purpose. And then we also meet people in the community who give us friendships, good friendships, people on the same journey that we can call when we're having a codependent moment. We could talk for hours and we just get each other. It's like that hidden language and there's no judgment. You try talking to somebody who's not codependent, they're going to think we're crazy because we are. We are. And so it's good to have people that get it because we know it's like, we don't mean to be like this. This is what life gave us. And this is how we act to protect ourselves. And we're trying to learn how to unlearn it as an adult. Be aware you have a problem. Read the book, Codependent No More. Go to CODA meetings. And then another one is learning how to set boundaries and keep them. Because it's easy to say a boundary, right? That just takes words. But to keep it, that's emotional. Because a lot of times when you're not used to setting boundaries and you set one, it's going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel guilty. You're going to feel shameful. And so that's why you take back your boundary. And also for me, for my example, let's say I tell my partner, if you cheat on me again, I'm leaving. This is a true story, right? I find out they're cheating. I go, you cheat on me again, I'm leaving. And then they cheat on me again a week later. And then I'm like, well, okay, well, if you do it again, I'm leaving. You see what I just did? I just took back my boundary, took back my word, lowered my self-worth, and basically created this person, this idea that, oh, I can cheat and they'll take me back. And that's why the cycle keeps on happening. We give people permission to take advantage of us when we don't keep our word and our boundaries. It's just what it is. And plus, anybody who dates a codependent and stays with us, they're toxic as well. It may just look differently, their codependency, or they might be a narcissist. There's different ways that it can manifest from the person who gets taken advantage of from the person who takes advantage of them. They're both codependents, just different ways of how it manifests. That's why narcissistic people tend to date codependents, because we're easily manipulated and we're easily to be taken advantage of. So if you're like, man, I got stories of narcissists in my life, relatable. Very common thing with people who struggle with codependency. And the last one, therapy, therapy, therapy. Get into therapy. It's a beautiful thing to really dive in with a professional on doing different forms of, and modalities of therapy to work on your trauma as a kid, your abandonment, neglect, to hit the root problem, to learn stuff. And it's just nice to have somebody that has no bias, doesn't really know anybody in your life, that you can just talk and word vomit for an hour. Very healing, very helpful. I've done EMDR for my codependency. I've done just talk therapy. I've done meditations, so many things with my therapist, and it was super helpful. Those are the things I'll give you. And like I said, in future videos, we'll dive into things more because it's a journey. It's a lifetime of healing. That's why we need people to teach us, people to have fun with, and people to give back to. And community is everything. There's nothing wrong with you. These are the cards that life dealt you, but there's a purpose to why you've been through it. And we're going to heal through this together. We're going to grow through this together. I believe in you guys. I love you guys. You guys are amazing and beautiful and lovable people because you guys know how to love so deep and care so much and really understand people in a way that most people can't. So now it's time for us to heal so we can give those gifts in balance and really see the value that we have in people. And then we learn how to give to the right people, because a lot of times we give to the wrong people, and that's why we get resentful, because people are taking advantage of us, but really we're letting people take advantage of us. We're creating that character in people's lives that we say yes to everything and give to everyone, and then that hurts us. So we'll learn to give to the right people, still with no expectations. We're going to learn to love ourselves, to be alone, learn to walk away from things, to keep boundaries. And it's so empowering because nobody will ever have power over you to hurt you, to use you, to manipulate you. You will take back your power. You will know your worth, and you will live your best healed life possible. Thank you guys for listening to this whole video. I hope what I was saying made sense. Sometimes I lose myself because I get all into it. I also have ADHD. We'll do videos on that later. But please, please, please don't forget to like, to subscribe, to notify, share with a friend that needs to heal in codependency. Bring him into the family so we can all heal together. Because the bigger the impact, the more healing will take place, which means the more peace we'll have on this earth. And the ripple effect is amazing. So again, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I love you. And I can't wait to see you on the next video.